Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. My name is Dr. Enolia Foti, and I am so happy to be your host this evening. And for those of you who don't know, we have a wonderful guest from Sacred Valley Podcast, and her name is Tara Crete. And Tara, we're so happy to have you here. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. As you're talking, you have the most beautiful, bright smile. You cannot help but smile back at you. I don't know if you know that about yourself. It's wonderful. You're talking about me, but I'm just smiling and not because you're talking about me. But thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here. And I'm pretty sure that your listeners do not know who I am. I am the host of a little podcast called Sacred Valley Podcast. And it's up on Rumble, but I'm just switching it over to Gnostic TV network. I think you're familiar with Jay and April from
Yeah.
Spiritually Raw. So yeah, I started this podcast a few years ago, and the name came from, it's kind of like a double entendre. The first part is I used to live in the Sacred Valley of Peru, and that's where I did a lot of really deep healing with curanderos and shamans, and lived in the jungle and in the Andes and whatnot. So it's a very special place for me logistically. But during my time in Peru, which was the most spiritual, deep time of my life, I realized that we all have a sacred valley that resides within ourselves.
Mm.
And that sacred valley, Enolia, is where the magic is. It's not necessarily a fun place to be because, as I told you, I am literally just emerging from a very long, dark, deep sacred valley. And I haven't had one in a while. So other people might call it a funk or a depression. There's a lot of different words we could call it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I thought Sacred Valley was an appropriate name for a podcast. And that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years.
I absolutely love it. And knowing that our listenership is from across the world, they love hearing about travels. They love hearing about
Mhm.
experiences. And we can't let you come on here and not touch on how you traversed going to Peru, what brought you and called you to Peru, and then just tell us about your immersion within the Sacred Valley, because I've had the great fortune of traversing the Sacred Valley, Ollantaytambo.
Mhm.
I mean, the places were just absolutely beautiful. And not Ollantaytambo, I'm thinking of Sexy Woman, actually.
Yeah, that's a
But
woman. Yeah.
Sexy Woman.
Yeah.
But talk to us a little bit about Peru.
It was a life-changing experience. I would recommend anyone, if you have a calling to go there, go. It has to be one of the most special countries in South America. I haven't been to all of them yet, but it has a very deep spiritual connection for me that is palpable. So I went there because I had a broken heart, and I had friends who had gone there and they had told me about their experiences with shamans, and I was drawn to it so immediately and knew intuitively I need to go there. I didn't really understand that I was going to go there and have my life saved, because that is what happened to me, but it ended up being a magical trip. And I did, gosh, I don't know how many ceremonies, because I ended up staying longer than I thought. This was back in the day in the 90s, when you could go to the airport, pick up a payphone and call like Continental Airlines and say, hey, I'm going to change my flight. And you could just change it without paying anything. Do you remember
Right.
those days?
Yes, I do remember those
It's
days.
wonderful.
Boy, do I
That
miss
was
them.
good.
Yeah.
Because Peru grabbed me in my heart in a way that was almost frightening, because I'm living in a land at the time where I didn't speak the language. I ended up teaching myself Spanish living there. Um, and living in a jungle under a mosquito net at night, doing sacred ceremonies of ayahuasca, climbing Machu Picchu and taking San Pedro or Huachuma. Everything was unfamiliar, but it was the most familiar, and it was the most heart-opening, life-saving experience. So I didn't want to leave.
Mm.
I almost didn't leave, but
I
I did.
could definitely see why. So you did a lot of ceremony. Did you spend time with the curos? Did you spend time with ayahuasqueras? I mean, because I had the great fortune of spending time with an ayahuasquera. His name was Alexander, and
Mhm.
it was phenomenal because we spent 3 days with him and did not do ayahuasca. and learned nothing but the teaching, nothing
Wow,
but and it was a phenomenal experience.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, share a little bit about that.
I did, yes. The first place, it's really interesting. So I left the States. There was three women, my friend from Germany and my other friend from Florida. And we first went to the jungle to work with this particular shaman named Mateo. And we lived in the jungle that first week and we did ceremony, I think every single night.
Okay.
Had a lot of amazing, amazing experiences. And at the end of that week, all three of us got different messages from spirit. And myself and my friend from Germany, Johanna, went on to the mountains to meet another shaman to do wachuma, which
Mhm.
is it's like the cousin of peyote. It's
Okay.
a cactus, indigenous to the Andes, the colder climates. But our friend Kelly was could not leave. She had to stay in the jungle because she was told from the plant spirit that she had more work to do. So she stayed behind. We ended up never seeing her again on this trip because all
Oh,
of us kind of diverged. We all it's such an amazingly deep process that you go through. So when we went to the next place, Johanna and I went to this beautiful town called Huancavelica. It was high, high up in the Andes. At one point, we were 15,000 feet up. It was
okay.
really high. And we went to a place, I don't remember the Quechua name, but it meant Forest of the Rocks, and it was just that. And that was where I had my first San Pedro experience. And the very first message came to me like you and I are talking right now, clear as day. I was out on a rock in the sun all by myself, and the spirit said, "You need to go back to the jungle. Your work is not done." And I knew it. It was a command. It wasn't even a question. So
Oh,
after 10 or so days in Huancavelica, I got on horseback and I made the most life altering 9 hour horse ride through the Andes. I came in from a road, but we left a different way through via horse. My friend Johanna was instructed to stay behind and do a silent meditation in this little mountain town that we're in. So I didn't see her until the end of our 2 month trip. Or at the very, very, very end, we reconnected. So I made my way back to um, Pucallpa, which was a little jungle town. It took about 24 hours. That was a very interesting journey in itself. And I made it back to the jungle, and that's where I stayed for 2 more months, living with the shaman in a hut, doing ceremonies every night under a mosquito net.
wow. So what would you say was your leap of orbit? And I characterize it as a leap of orbit because what happens is that you don't come out the way that you enter in, and something transitions within us. And
Yes.
once that takes place, things are never the same again. So what was that for you?
It was the first night that we got to the jungle when the three of us were there, and it was my first time taking the sacred medicine, ayahuasca. And when the shaman came underneath the mosquito net, he asks you a lot of questions. And I remember he called me Tara, ¿cómo estás? He wants to know, how are you? And ¿dónde está el dolor? Where's the pain? Like, where do you feel it? Because he wants to heal you. He wants to help you. And then after the healing was over, I had my head in his lap in Anolia. The most amazing wave of love came through me. And it also, I saw Peru winding through my body and through my heart. And the message said, this is here forever. And I didn't know this this is the very first night of my trip. I understand it now. Like Peru is not going, it's in you now and it will never leave.
Never
But
leave.
when my head, yeah, you understand me.
Yeah.
I had my head on Mateo's lap and I had a love for this man who I knew nothing about. I couldn't speak to him. I couldn't communicate really. He spoke Quechua and Spanish. I spoke French and English. There was just this universal language that we were having. I felt more love for him than I even felt for my family and my mother. And I was very confused by it though. So I had some interesting things happen because of that, because to feel that kind of love, to be touched by that was life altering, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yes. And so here it is, you're in the sacred valley of your heart, traversing. And, a lot of people just hear plant medicine and they hear, what you did, but no one really understands the journey.
Mm.
And I love the fact that your podcast is called Sacred Valley because the journey within is as vast as you looking up in the sky and saying, I'm going to that particular star, right?
True.
And
Mhm.
so, and I know you understand, and I want to give our listeners just a little bit of understanding of what it's like to traverse the journey, the valley within, the universe within. Do you want to share a little bit?
I can share one story, but what I want to say is when you engage with the sacred plant medicine, it is so much bigger than we are,
Yeah.
to the point where, because we do if you're working with ayahuasca specifically, you only do it at nighttime. It's a nighttime. The plant spirit is to be revered. It is extremely powerful. And I always want to do this when I talk about the grandmother spirit of ayahuasca. Um, and it's always done at nighttime. That's where the deepest work is done. Whereas with Wachuma, you could take it in the morning, during the day, or at nighttime or
Mhm.
whatnot. But um, after ceremony the next morning, because it lasts about 6 to 8 hours, you
Right.
wake up, maybe you just come out from under your mosquito net, and you look at, if you're alone, you'll just have these thoughts, but you look over at your fellow traveler and just, you cannot talk to them. You can't talk yet. The experience that we just had was so big that there aren't words. So it takes about 5, 6 hours to whittle down and compartmentalize the experience. Then by lunchtime, we can start talking about it. So by that time, it's already diminished. It's already less than what it was, because it's so big and it's so powerful. But I would say that when I was in Cusco, when I was leaving, it was one of my last nights. And my friend and I met a friend in Cusco, and everyone back then had a shaman. Everyone had a
Mhm.
shaman. It was
Yeah.
almost like, my shaman's better than your shaman kind of thing. My friend Leslie and I would have this kind of little competition. Well, I mean, she's like, oh, well, my shaman Ruben does this. I'm like, yeah, well, my shaman did this. So she goes, okay, let's have a ceremony with mine here in Cusco. I'm like, okay, fine, do it. Call him over. So we had a ceremony that night, and it was myself and Leslie and Ruben. I never met this man. He was sweet. And he was training her, because she is now an ayahuasquera. No, I'm sorry. She's a curandera, because she works with San Pedro with
Okay.
Wachuma. And so she was studying with him. She was learning. So I was in a battle. I was in a battle that night. There were cats outside fighting. And for me, that's like, I don't have children, but for me, if I hear that sound of cats fighting, I want to save them. I want to do something. So they were fighting, but it was really my fight. So they were representing my battle within. And that night there were wolves. There was a lot of blood, in terms of like birthing blood. There was just a lot going on that at the time didn't make any sense to me. And I would, every once in a while, I'd have to like stand up and get help to go to the bathroom. And I'd see these two looking at me. And the way they looked at me was not in a good way. So I remembered that. So the next morning, when Ruben left and he was coming back, I had to pay him. So Leslie and I were having a cup of tea, and we were listening to this beautiful wolf music in the
Mhm.
background. And I said to her, what did you guys see? That when I sat up and you both looked at me and you were looking like you were scared. And she was like, oh no, nothing. I said, no, no, no. I want to know what you saw. And she said, Tara, there was a hole that was so big. It was a big black hole around your heart. As soon as she said that, Anolia, I dropped to the ground. She straddled me, and I was hysterical, crying. And she started closing up the energy of my heart, throwing it. She was working up a sweat. I don't know how long this went on for, maybe a half an hour, maybe an hour.
Okay.
She was closing this giant hole that I know now would have taken me. I was
Mm,
dying of a broken heart.
mm,
That's what was happening. And
okay.
so she closed it up, and we both we both looked at each other, like, afterward. We were both like, what the hell just happened? So Ruben came back, and he was like, oh, okay. 'Cause I couldn't do it with him because I didn't know him. I didn't trust him, but I could with her. He helped open it, and then she helped, solidify it. And he came, and all I had was, I think I had 20 soles. I had no money left. It was the end of my trip. I gave him what I had. And I said, I was crying. And I said, Ruben, I cannot give you. I don't have enough money to give you for what you did for me. And he said, all I need you to do is love yourself. That's how you can pay me.
That's
So
beautiful.
that was that was my birthing day. That was July of 1999. Yeah, really beautiful. Oh, so then after that happened, you'll love this. We hear the cats outside. We go outside, and the sun was just coming up behind the roof, and it was winter time there. So there was like a tree that had no branches on it. So you could see the sun glistening behind the tree limb. And there were two cats on the roof, and one was a black cat and one was a white cat. And they were rearing off. And the black cat came and the white cat reared up and scared the black cat off. And the
Wow.
white cat won. It was like the light in the dark.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was it was really amazing. So that's just one of so many stories and so many significant, but that one, that I consider is the night that my life was saved from
Wow.
that medicine.
And then people don't understand because what happens to you energetically has an impact physically. It really, really does. And
Oh,
so, people being impacted from a broken heart, that's really serious. That's when you end up having heart problems, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah.
that was really, really phenomenal that you were able to catch that and have it closed and energetically, resolve what
I
took.
didn't know that's what's happening, but you're right. I totally agree. I knew now, of course, hindsight, it's so easy to, um, work through and see it so clearly.
Yeah.
But yes, a broken heart, because it does feel like, I remember it felt like I was not going to make it.
Mhm.
I thought, but so what I think would have happened, I think my spirit would have come down with a disease, or I would have gotten hit by a car, and I would have never
Right.
taken
Something.
the blackness would have taken over and manifested itself in some way.
Exactly.
And I know that, and it's, I'll reach out to Leslie every once in a while, and in July, and I'll tell her, and this is like my birthday, so thank you for thank you for helping birth me on that evening. It was really, really cool. And then it comes to find out the shaman, we were talking later, and he was like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Florida. Everyone in Peru wants to know where you're from. Oh, I'm Florida. Where in Florida? I'm like, this little town on the East Coast. What's it called? I'm like, Sebastian. I'm like, you don't know. No one knows Sebastian. Even Americans didn't know Sebastian in the 90s. And he goes, oh yeah, Captain Hiram's. There's like this really cool beach bar. And I almost fell off the couch. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, oh, I know Lee. He has a shaman's garden. And we looked at each other and he goes, you and I have some work to do. And he was right. And that's where our like 10-year relationship started, where he came to Florida. I worked with him. I took many groups to Peru. Yeah, it was really a beautiful, kind of a beautiful meeting for sure.
Beautiful. And so, what would you say after birthing and going through all of that, that your contribution now back to humanity is?
Well, I really feel like that's when I became a woman.
Okay.
That was my entrance into womanhood. And if I can find this, I'll read it to you. It's very, very short. Um, it really, I'll look for it as we talk. Um, yeah, I became a woman. And
Well,
there's something that changes. I could tell the difference between being a girl and being a woman. And I was in my 30s when this happened.
yeah, I have to say, and go ahead and look for it while I'm talking, that one of the things that we do not do as women is that we do not celebrate self. We don't go through that beauty of ceremony that celebrates our womanhood and our coming of age and our transitioning, such that here's where I felt like a little girl, and here is now I can celebrate that I'm that woman. And it's important. It's important to have.
It is important, and because you know what happened? That's where the spark within me to help other women was born.
Mm,
I mean, really, like a real passion.
yes.
That's when I became a life coach, and I was already teaching yoga, but my yoga training, my yoga teachings changed, and I cared so much more about helping others because of the death experience I had just gone through, and because it changed my life.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for asking that, because that is what happened. I started journaling a lot, and that's where this desire to just be a beacon for women, because as you know, when you go through these valleys, when you have these experiences, the universe doesn't only expand, but the path is, and I'm an Aries, so I'm always the first one. I'm the pioneer. I'm the one going through with the machete, and I'll do it right next to the other path. I won't take the easy road. I'm going to make my own path through the woods.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I'm that person who does that, and I don't mean to be that way. I don't want to be an outlier. It's just kind of how my life has turned out to be. So
Right.
that was like the main significance of what that night was. But I
Mhm.
do have a poem that sums it all up, and it's a really short poem.
Please
And
do share.
and it was born on that night of that night. And it's called Words of a Goddess. And I'm gonna try not to cry. I am the awakening and I am the life. This is my world. I am balanced and one with the earth. I have ridden on the wind and danced on the moon. And I looked into her eyes. My reflection was of all that is, and I am life. The Great Spirit ignites the sun, and I am but a spark of light, illuminating my way to oneness. A heart once closed opens and rises with the sun. I am in utter awe of the blessings of a goddess, love, truth, integrity, joy, and I am woman. I have wept my own ocean of tears, and I visited the depths of my sacred valley. And behold, wisdom was bestowed upon me. I am everything, and I am nothing, and I am free.
That's so beautiful. That's so, so beautiful.
Still has so much emotion in it for me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't apologize. Please don't
Oh,
apologize. And actually, just take a moment. I want to invite our audience and ourselves to just close our eyes for a moment and just take a breath. And I'm just going to speak a little blessing while that's taking place to give you a moment. Utaramananiatara, aunteremaniatam, arorea, ajo, untu, area, areramananiatanta, are, are.
beautiful.
Just give you a,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. In the
Yes.
spirit of the
Oh,
Kyros, it's always back to the breath. You
yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I just don't often go there. I don't talk about this a whole lot. And so thank you for asking. And it's such a big part of my life. And
It is,
at
it
least I wrote a
is.
poem. At least I wrote a poem about, at least there's something there documented.
Oh my goodness. But when we go through these conscious transformations and they mark our lives like this, it is huge. It is huge. And I understand my coming through the birth canal was quite different because it was the moment and the conscious time that I just decided that it's going to change and I'm going to do whatever it takes and all of the work and I'm going to face every fear and I'm going to step where I'm so uncomfortable and I'm going to look in a mirror and I'm going to love what I see
Mm,
when I'm completing this process, and that all of the challenges of my limited beliefs I'm going to take on, and when we do this, it marks like it's a leap of orbit. It's a time in our lives where we consciously have decided that whatever it takes to raise our vibration and to take that next path of life that you have to jump over to, that it's just not going to go smooth in the direction that I'm going, has to take place, you know? And when people
right.
do it, we have to celebrate this. We have to acknowledge that this is taking place.
Yeah, the conviction in your voice, I can feel it. I feel the energy behind your words and this, wow, it's like power and strength.
It is, well,
Like
it took
you're like
power
you
and
ain't you ain't fooling around.
no, because it took power and strength to go through it.
Ugh.
You come out stronger on the other end,
Mm, mhm,
So I sit back and I look. We were talking a little bit earlier before the podcast started. We were talking about all of the energy that's coming in, right? And we
mhm,
were talking about the fact that as physical beings, we have to take in all of this energy. So let me explain that. I have a little
mm,
app on my phone, and it alerts me to how many solar flares are coming in, and the sun has solar flares. And it's just for those people who aren't familiar with astronomy or don't take the time to do it, that our Earth's rotation, the rotation of the planets around us, the energies when one planet comes into the company of another or exits the company of another, and the fact that the sun is having solar flares, all of these energies are around us.
mm,
And our physical being needs to absorb them. And our physical being needs to traverse these energies. And they have impact. And for those of you like you're not familiar with this, well, that happens with the moon. When you have a full moon, your mood is changed, the people are enlivened, you're going like, what's going on? Why are people so animated right now? It's because of the full moon. The moon is strong enough to change the currents of the water. So don't underestimate the power of all of the other planets that are traversing and giving off energy and everything else like that. So when I look at the solar flares and I see that we've had 30 inside of 2 days, it's powerful.
That
It's
explains a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It could explain a lot. And I love that you're bringing this up because this is an opportunity for people to kind of maybe give themselves a little bit of a break. Because with this, and not only that, we've got Mercury in retrograde. There's like 3 or 4 other planets going in retrograde. This is like a crazy time. The Schumann resonance has been off the charts as well. And what else is going on? There was something else.
Lionsgate.
Lionsgate, the portal. So
Yes,
my goodness, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling chaotic, all of that stuff is normal and it's okay. Just breathe through it. Some of it may not even be yours,
that's
or
right.
some of it may be yours coming up to release it finally, and it's an opportunity. But I would say, let's try not to judge ourselves and to just let ourselves feel what we're feeling, but don't give in to the emotion. Anchor yourself. Because
Exactly.
it's the beginning of a very interesting time. And I don't even know what that means. I just know that it's going to get really bumpy from here. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet. You're in Africa, I'm in New Hampshire,
Yes,
United States. And you and I both know exactly what we're all feeling the same things. We're all tapped into the same frequency. And I'm sure your listeners are as well, regardless of where they are.
exactly that. And then the fact that the frequency has resonance and then we're all feeling it. So if you're tired, if you're lacking energy and whatnot, then slow down. You don't have to run the rat race all the time. Give yourself a
Exactly.
break, allow yourself that time to sit still, and it's okay, you know?
It is okay. I learned a really beautiful, very simple tool yesterday from a gentleman who was on my show. He was like
Okay.
my friend that I did the show with invited him on. He's believe it or not, like a lieutenant colonel in the military for like
Oh
30
wow.
years. So I would have never dreamed that I would get this beautiful, I don't know what you'd call it. You tell me what you would call this. It's like an exercise. And I did it this morning and I'm going to do it for 6 weeks. And because his theory is as soon as we decide we want to be in the other parallel universe, we're there. We have to decide it though, right? As soon as we want something to be different, all we have to, that's the power that we have. We
Oh
have the
yeah.
power to do whatever we want. We don't have to struggle and strive and climb mountains and be in sacred valleys all the time. We can just make our mind up. But a lot of us have come in. We all stood in the line before birth that said no self-worth. I stood in that line when I was little. Like, I think I'm going to go in that line. And you come in through the real birth canal through your mom, and you don't have any self-worth. So we have to learn it, right? We have to teach ourselves that we're worthy. And this exercise is really beautiful. So you write down 9 things about yourself that you love, 9 positive things, and you read them 3 times a day for 6 weeks. Now, there's something special about 369. Because
Oh, we know all about 369.
okay, perfect.
Yes, but no, share to our studio audience. But yeah,
Well, I actually no, I don't know. I was hoping you would know. I know that this man, he is so smart and he rattled off so much information that I could only grab some of it. He's really big into numerology
yeah,
and to not gematria, but more numerology. And
yeah.
he was saying significance of 369. It means so much to us as humans. And if we use that with an intention, it becomes really, really powerful.
It does. And who I want to ask who it was who was really big on 369. And I want to say Tesla, but I don't think it was Tesla. It was
Hmm.
somebody else. Was
It
it
could have been actually. That sounds very familiar. I think he did mention Tesla.
Okay, so Tesla was obsessed with 369. And if it wasn't Tesla, please, I stand corrected, but I
Right.
believe it's Tesla. And what happens is that he traversed, like, he would go around the corner 3 times, then 6 times, then 9 times, or he would go and he would not
Okay.
3 times, or 9 times, or 6 times. Like everything had to
Yes.
do in terms of 369, but everything was aligned. He
Right.
accomplished everything that he wanted to do by
Ah,
acknowledging these 3, the 6, and the 9. And actually, I have to admit, when I first started my master class and I was like, oh, I don't know what to charge. I just reversed it. I did 963 and people started coming, you
You're
know,
kidding. Oh,
like
that's amazing.
people started coming and then I was able to change it from that point. But there's something about 369, yeah, or those numbers, no matter what the combination is, that
Yeah.
really has a resonance and
Mhm.
attraction to it that really just,
Right.
yeah,
It's probably something magnetic, knowing Tesla, if that is who we're talking about, because he's really
yeah.
big into magnetism. And I think we'll probably learn that as time goes on. Hopefully that will be that's but it's really even just the simple act of sitting down with a journal.
Hmm.
It's really sad. It's hard. It's not easy to come up with 9 things. I had to think about it. Um, because I think if someone had said, tell me 9 things you don't like, I mean, we could just be like, oh my God, give me another piece of paper.
Right?
Totally. Yeah, here's my scroll. Here's my scroll. And that's really sad because that shows you how how we haven't been taught who we are. And then we have this Christ consciousness, this beautiful light, and it's been snuffed out by so many different things, the food we eat, the water we drink, our educational systems. Thank you, Rockefeller family. The pharmaceuticals that we take. Thank you, Rockefeller family. All of these things. But the good news is we're breaking free of it. We're
Yes, we
breaking
are.
free of the matrix. Yeah.
Yes, we are. And then the foundational programs that many of us are bringing forward, like I bring forward this class called the 7 Principles of Self-Mastery, right? Or Empower, Achieve, and Succeed through Self-Mastery. But I came up with 7 principles that I basically use that you already possess. It's not external to yourself, it's already internal to yourself, of how to shift your view based on these principles of life to make you a conscious, make conscious choices and conscious walking life consciously. As we bring forward these types of programs, right, we are
Mm.
unraveling what they are using to keep us divided. So
Mm.
celebrating the differences in one another. No, celebrate coming together in the unity of one another.
Mm.
Like when I look at you, they want me to say, oh, how do I compete? They want me to say divide and conquer. What's my territory? How can I escalate myself and put myself at a higher stage than you? But no, we unravel that, right? And I go,
Oh,
how can we collaborate? How can we work together? How can we lift each other up? How can we sit in circle? Okay. We have to unravel those limited belief systems that says I have to step on the person next to me instead of work with the person next to me in order to bloom or to blossom, and that there
mm.
is strength when we come together, right? Well, all of these systems we have to unravel, and all of these frameworks. And it's so funny because I get so many clients, and maybe you feel the same way, but I get a lot of people who are like, okay, how can I value and contribute to the world and not have to belittle, step on, or demean the other person while I'm doing it, because that's all
Mm.
I've been taught,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, we have. That word, unravel, has so much energy, but especially coming from you. So I don't know if you're going to have like a mini conference called like unraveling the something, but that's a really powerful word for you. And it's so important because there is an unraveling taking place, and it makes me want more of it. I'm like, unravel us, get us out. Let's, because if you lay us all out, I want to be like pure as the driven snow when we were first came here, before we came here. I want to know, I want the veil lifted, and I
Yeah,
want to be unraveled. I
yes.
love that. I love that word.
Well, which leads me to you, Tara, in terms of you come. I always say that everyone has a plethora of gifts. You come to us with gifts that you have not shared with our audience. A couple of the gifts that you have that you might quietly tuck away and not say anything about, but we know that are
I mean,
there.
like my intuitive gifts, like just like God-given gifts. Is that what you
That's what I mean. Yes.
aren't we all? We all have a very empathic, so it can be a curse sometimes, but not really. It's more of a blessing, to feel so much, to feel so much. Like, well, for example, last week there was a young lady here in her 20s, and her mother had passed away about 10 years ago, and I I felt her pain. I felt her pain, and I just instinctively got up and I just wanted to hug her because I know that I can take some of it away. But she wasn't that kind of person, and she ran away. And we didn't see her for the rest of the night. And I thought, oh my God, okay, I need to check myself. But it was just so intuitive for me to stand up and just, oh, I just wanted to hold her because I
Mm-hmm.
know that I can, I can absorb some of it. And so she doesn't have to feel it, but you can't do that if someone doesn't want you to do that. So that was an interesting lesson for me to learn.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And I just got my Reiki training, my Reiki one.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, a long time coming. It's so beautiful to put your hands on someone and to get downloads of information
Mhm.
that can help people. And I always ask spirit, like, if there's anything that they need to know, let me know. And then I ask my client, what do you want to know what I heard?
Mhm.
Because it's a respect thing. Because maybe they don't care. Maybe they're just there to be quiet and relax for 20 minutes and have a Reiki session. I don't know. So I would say that. And mostly I can feel energy in people's voices. I don't quite understand this yet, but I saw a really interesting video the other day about vibrational healing. And it's called, and there's a website for it. It's called The Sound of Something. I'm going to need to look at it. And I have it written down because this woman was talking about how they found what frequency like cancer had, and they played the opposite of it, and it cured people. And
Yes.
I thought sometimes I can hear someone's voice and I know if they look like their mom or their dad. Like, I don't even know how to explain that. Or if they're like their mom or their dad, there's something in the vibration of someone's voice that I can tell a lot from them. I don't know if you call that a gift. It's just a very interesting thing that
It
I
is a
can do.
gift. I'm going to tell you that it is a gift because I know that downloads that I have had is the fact that certain resonances do heal, and that
Mm,
that's the way we're going to be healing in the future more and more and more and more. And so the fact that you acknowledge and know that your voice has resonance and that it
yeah.
has a frequency that is able to assist people. I know that mine does too. It's just something I've just
Mhm.
accepted. This is not coming from a place of arrogance or ego
Oh,
at
no, no,
all.
no. You're just owning it.
Yeah. And it's funny because intuitively when I'm doing a session, when I'm doing a shamanic session or an energy session,
Mm,
if I feel compelled to tone or to just, sing a certain resonance or a tone, I just do it because that's what's coming through. And so I would just say, if that's what you're feeling, honor it, let it come through. If somebody tells you, or if you get that download, not somebody, but if you get that download to tone or to speak a certain way or whatever, just do it. I even when I speak the language of light, it affords me that opportunity. It comes at a certain tone, it comes at a certain resonance, and
yeah.
I just honor it. I just honor it. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, sometimes I sing. I don't know. I just
You don't judge it. You don't judge it. You
no.
just
I'll
allow
let
it
you.
to come through. Yeah, I don't know what you said before, but it was the most beautiful melodic sound. And I
Mm.
know that it had a lot of love in it. It was gorgeous, and it felt so good. It felt like a little soft vibration.
Yeah, that was the language of light, and really, it's we all have it. We all have the language that we had before we were birthed here on this earth. And some of us
Mm,
remember it, and some of us, we don't. It's still there, and it's not the same as speaking in tongues. Okay, I just want to
okay.
clarify that. And
Mm,
then it has a resonance, it has a frequency, and it has an intention behind it. And for me, it's pure love. And it has a healing aspect to it also, you know. And for those who speak it, they'll share the fact that you can change frequency in that language also because we
mm,
all come from different dimensions of being, and so different dimensions have has different language, but it's still all about that sound, the sound frequency, and that it's healing, it's calming, and your
mm.
subconscious knew exactly what I was saying with the
That's
intention
it.
behind it.
There was
But
a communication pathway going on. Yes. Yes. And it's not very different from the time in the jungle when I was being sung Icaros, which are the
mhm,
most beautiful sacred songs from the shaman, and it sounded otherworldly, especially when you're under the influence of this amazing plant medicine, you hear these songs, and the songs are designed to heal you, to lift you up, to carry you away, and they do that. And they're so beautiful, but you can feel the vibration in them. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about what you're saying because I do think that this is a whole untapped field. And when I saw this video the other day of this woman talking about how they're healing, and this was an old video, Enolia. It was like, it must have been 90s. It was not a very good quality. So she's
Mhm.
been talking about this for a long time. And I thought, what a shame that we're not doing this yet because so many people can be healed and it's coming. So that's what's
It's
exciting.
coming. It
It's
is.
coming. I mean, what an exciting time to be alive. Is there any better
Uh-huh.
time to be alive right here on the cusp of the big massive awakening, the great awakening, the massive shift that's going on? I mean, I wouldn't miss this damn time for the world, lady. I wouldn't.
And we signed up to be here. We're
And
here.
we
We're
signed up.
ready. Yes, we did. And yeah, standing in that strength, standing in that moment and saying, okay, bring it on. I'm ready. I'm ready to work.
I'm feeling and I'm sensing that the people who are going to be listening to this, I'm already tapping into that energy. There are people that both of Anolia and I are encouraging you to shake all of that disbelief, the self-worth stuff off of you. And it's time to step into this because the energy supports it. There's no better time. Because I think, especially for women, if there's men listening too, that's great because you can do the same thing. But it's time for us to step into this power and to really be the leader, just like follow the energy that Enolia was using when she was speaking before, because that's the richness, that stuff right behind. I can see it. So what is it called? If I guess I'm kinesthetic,
Hmm.
but I can see what your energy is saying, and then I can share. So I use that with my clients. I'll see an image and it won't make any sense to me. And I'll say, this is what I see. And they'll go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. The power behind you, it's like a tidal wave. It's so powerful behind your words.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good energies, but I want everyone to tap into that power and to step into it because that's why we came here. That's one of
Yes,
the main reasons why we came here.
yes. Talk about what a session would look like for you or working with you.
It's all very intuitive, and yeah, I listen to the vibration of people's voices,
Hmm.
and I really like to work with people because I have an inner good coaching. That's my coaching practice. um I'm a whatever they call a certified life coach. I became a coach back in '04 when no one
When
even knew what the
nobody
heck.
knew what coaching was, I
I
know.
don't even think I knew really what it was, but I loved the sound of it, and I thought I'm going to do this training. So I spent a year studying, and it was one of the top 5 things in my life that have been so powerful.
Right.
um but the deep listening skills, it's about listening to what people are saying and helping people get out of their way. But I really like working with people who are ready to make the leap, who
Yeah.
are just ready to go. I don't want to we're not going to spend a lot of time in the past. I'm not a therapist. We don't need to dredge all that stuff up. It's about, okay, so that happened to you. What are we going to do with it? How are you going to utilize it? How are you going to transmute that negative experience and use it as the tidal wave of your life? Nelia
I
Nolia has done.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's a results driven kind of a practice.
Yeah. I can't believe we're coming up on an hour. And Tara, I could talk to you all night long. I mean, this is such a joy and so beautiful. I would love for you to share with us, before we wrap things up, I would love for you to share with us what your tip would be for those people out there that might be on the cusp of like, I'm conscious, I'm not conscious, I have the opportunity to step to the next level, but I'm afraid. What would you share with them?
Fear is not going anywhere. You're never going to be at a time on this planet where fear isn't involved. So you may as well feel it and do it anyway, right? Everyone knows that saying. I think it was
Yeah.
a book. Feel it and do it anyway. I'm a professional skydiver. I've been skydiving for a long, long, long time. And you get
Another
to that
beautiful
jump
secret.
run. Yeah, when you,
I love it. I've
that
always
door
wanted to do
at 13,500 feet, you just trust and you feel the fear and you do it anyway. So fear is such a massive motivator. And I would say if anyone is out there that has been motivated by fear in terms of like paralyzing you, keeping you from living your best life, keeping you from taking that step or even taking that risk, I encourage everyone to take a tiny little risk. In my coaching practice, in I don't believe in quantum leaps. I don't believe in, you're suffering today, you're in a valley, and tomorrow you're gonna be on the top of the mountain. It's not gonna happen that way. I mean, maybe it could. I mean, I believe in miracles, that they do happen.
Yeah.
But it all starts with one tiny little shift, something tiny that you can do to change maybe the rut that you're in, or the hamster wheel. And I would say kick fear to the curb, man. Just make friends with it and just say, you know what? I love you. I know you're here to stay, but you need to move out of the way because I got things to do.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Please take the time to share with us what's going on. What can we see from Tara Crete on Gnostic TV and Sacred Valley, and how to reach you and how to connect with you for a session, whatever the case may be. Let us know what's
Yes,
going
thank
on with
you
you.
so much. Yeah, so Sacred Valley podcast is moving over to Gnostic TV network, and I already do have several interviews up, and you're going to be one of them. So we're going to talk about that when we get off.
Great.
I mean, just lately I've been interviewing really wonderful people, mediums. I had a channel on. She channeled the most beautiful message from Saint Germain, and it's
Mhm.
the kind of message where Saint Germain it was a recorded message like this, but Saint Germain was tapping into all the people who are going to already be listening, because as you know, there is no time. Time
Right.
doesn't exist this way. It exists all
Right.
at once. So Saint Germain gave a special channel for those, and you will feel so uplifted just by listening to Tara Arnold. I'm Tara, she's Tara. Tara Arnold channel Saint Germain. I had a gentleman on talking about near-death experiences. He's interviewed over 1,200 people. Just really fun, uplifting, cool people. That's why you're going to be on my show very soon. And I still have my Sacred Valley podcast over on Rumble. So it's a little bit more political. Like if you just want to get like a little more edgy and you want us to talk, you want to hear about what we think are going on here in the States, you can tap in there. But we do have something special to offer your audience. And I just did a little mini conference, a little mini summit, where I invited 6 people to speak on what they would like to know what a new sacred earth would look like. So the name of the event on Gnostic TV network is called New Sacred Earth. And
Mhm.
there's 6 wonderful visionaries, healers, psychics that just took about 15 or 20 minutes to chat with me about what they wanted to see the new sacred earth to be. I wanted to kind of breathe intention into this next earth, because I kind of feel like we didn't have a whole lot of intention for this last one. I don't know why.
Okay.
It was subconscious. So your audience can grab this. It's normally $44, but we're offering it at half price, so for $22. They can
Okay.
go to Gnostic TV network, or I'll send you the link and you can just put it right in your little, info.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
And the other
Yeah.
one quick little thing for those if you have listeners in Canada, or if you have listeners in the United States, I just got involved with this really amazing company that I know so many people that need a little extra money right now,
Mhm.
whether it's $500 a month, 1,000, some are making more than 3,000, and they're literally writing letters for $5 each. I can explain it all. I'm going to also give you that link. If anyone just needs a little bit of money and you want to know how to do it, I can walk you through it. I can send you the links and all that good stuff. So if you need to make a little extra cash, let me know. I'll figure it
Excellent.
out for you. Yeah,
Excellent. And
thank
there
you.
are those who need it. So you heard it here. Please, please, please reach out to Tara, and, let's not be shy about these things. This is the way that we help and lift each other up, by offering things and then being confident enough to just follow up on it, because we know that a little extra money coming in hand can always help. Always, always, always.
Oops. No doubt. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This is the quickest hour that I've ever had. I can't believe it went by so fast. And so I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories and your heart. We love you. And if you enjoyed this episode, then please like us, please share. Please share the information that Tara has given also to someone who might need to hear what we've just stated. And please come join us again on another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. Thank you, Tara, for coming. We appreciate you. Okay. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.